This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Wright.
Thank you all for coming, and thank you for that rounding round of applause. Good grief, people. I mean, I thought we had them trained here, that they were supposed to give that fake applause right after the...
Don't you have a button?
I should do a fake applause button. Hey, look, if it wasn't for our show, there'd be 2 customers here. I just want everybody to know that. There'd be nobody here. So I'm going to ask Peter for a raise because our people come out to watch the mayor, who will be with us shortly. First, I would like to introduce to you my wife of 30 years, Dora the Explorer.
Oh, did you?
I did. I posted something, and I had a few rum and cokes last night, so I have no idea what I posted. What was it that we're asking people to vote on? What is it that's going on?
So there's this contest called the Ultimate Explorer, and you throw your name in the hat and you put up a profile of the stuff that you've done, and it's to promote people going to the national parks. So they want you to join in and post your pictures, and if you make it to the end and you win the contest, you get $10,000. You get, I don't know if you get to keep it, but you do get to use an RV, a Winnebago RV, to go around to the national parks. And you get,
RV would be nice.
I don't know if you get the cover of Outdoor Magazine, but you get some sort of.
Is Lester Holt going to call you? Because if Lester Holt's not going to call you, it's not really worth anything. And
no, but here's the thing. People have to stay vigilant because you go through different rounds. So you get votes. That moves you on to the next round. And I'm actually going to be in Africa when the last couple of rounds go.
You're getting kicked off the go to Africa list because you can't figure out how to make the Zoom work.
I couldn't do the Zoom. I feel so bad.
So speaking of the Africa people, our friends, the Schoonovers are here from the Hoodlum neighborhood on Fort Myers Beach on Laguna Shores, where, I don't know, some kind of drug deal was going down or some... Did we ever find out what it was in your neighborhood? There was 13 cop cars, sheriff's deputies that showed up, and apparently the guy, whoever was getting arrested, decided he was going to resist arrest or something like that, and he got
charged with that.
He got violent with one of the officers, and that doesn't work with Sheriff Marcino.
Do you know if it was violent or did he just resist?
I got some info. I got some contacts now. I got some good sources inside the department.
I just want to say we were confused when we looked at the list of people that got arrested, which we were confused about that. But when I looked at some of the folks just randomly that day who had been arrested, I was a little surprised that some of them had 16 or more arrests going back over 10. Like,
at one point, you just leave them in the jail or the prison.
I mean, a lot of them were like, I guess minor stuff, but some of it was big stuff. But I mean, 16, how do you go in front of the judge and the judge goes, yeah, we're just going to.
You got street preacher lawyers. That's what you got to get you out of jail. So one last thing before we bring on the mayor. I had to do a bike ride.
After that
I had to do a bike ride this morning because I totally mistimed I biked from the house to Santini Plaza, which is 25 miles, which is no big deal. But I used the hybrid bike instead of the road bike. And so it took me longer. Mm-hmm. And boy, oh boy, I forgot to put the nut butter on. And I'm on raging fire right now. And so that's why people are asking how my ass is, dear. It's the people watching. It's not me. Like Dawn Manthe wants to know what's going on with my ass. So it sounds weird. But I just wanted to be straight that it's fine.
Information that people don't need to know. You think Dan wants to come in after this conversation?
I'm not going to ask him how his ass is, but I'm just saying that's why I need a softer seat or I need some more meat on my bottom. I didn't wear my girly pants that has the pads in the hiney where it looks like you have, you're riding a bike with diapers on.
Oh, that's in your future though. So.
Yeah.
Might as well get used to it now.
And then I go to the 7-Eleven because I was out of water. I go to Santini, I go to the 7-Eleven, and I asked them if they use Apple Pay because some 7-Elevens don't use Apple Pay. I had no money. Of course, I had to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't find the wallet on my phone because I never use it. So I finally, after 5 minutes, I found the wallet on my phone, and my card was declined. So,
I bet it's the old card. I bet
the old
it's
Amex,
card.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's never been on NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt, but he's a good guy anyway. Here's the mayor of Fort Myers Beach, Dan Allers. Oh, Jason, tell me to stop skipping squat day. I don't skip leg day. I just have twigs for legs. It's just always been the case.
Well, I think we needed a couple of things out of the question.
All right, here we go. Let it rip, Dan.
If there was a spot in the Smithsonian for asses, mine would be front and center. Let's clear that up right away. And living here as long as I have and being around the beach, people tend to get a beach nickname over time. And I think you just found yours, Nut Butter.
Boy, I'll tell you what, that stuff works.
The name finds yourself.
Do you have a roll of nut butter at your house?
No, I can't say I know what nut butter is, but you, I think, will forever be known as Nut Butter.
And I did meet a bunch of many nice people along the way on the bike ride this morning, which I don't usually do. I don't want to steal Kim's thunder, but it was the only way I was going to be able to get back for the show on time was to ride the bike. But I did go to the Wyndham. I pulled into the Wyndham and I saw somebody standing there. And I said, have you seen any birds? Did you see any birds? And she looks right at me and she says, I'm not talking to you. And I thought, okay, well, every once in a while, I think she was a Murph member, a member of the Murph committee.
You can't please everybody.
No, I didn't recognize her, but everybody else was very nice. It was a perfect day to be out biking and running, and there were a lot of people out doing that. So turn your own microphone on.
There's days where I don't want to talk to you either.
And I said, here's Anchorage Street. The street will never go down because that's where Kim got yelled at on Anchorage Street.
That was a long time ago.
So, Dan, let's start off with the FEMA letter. Everybody that's part of the program with the discount of the FEMA, whatever it is, got a letter in the mail, and they shouldn't be frightened by that. It's just part of the process, right?
Yeah. So all of our staff and all the other affected communities, including the county, were on a call when they saw the letter was coming out and how they were going to address it. And then everybody, if you haven't received the letter, essentially it's saying that FEMA is still working with each community. They found deficiencies in certain of whatever affected properties they had, and that they want to continue to work with the town. It's just paraphrasing basically what it says. And that we've got till November 18th, which we've talked about since they told us they weren't gonna retrograde us this year. So we've got till November 18th to give them whatever documentation. It's the same letter that's going to every single community that's been affected. Lee County, if you haven't got it, you're going to get it. It may not have been sent out all at once, so you're going to get it, but then you'll also get a follow-up letter from each jurisdiction saying, basically, we know the letter, we've told you all this, we're just going to continue to work with them. We're all still very confident that we're doing exactly what we're supposed to do. And my understanding is it's just some documentation. They're requesting more documentation. So we'll go through the process, and November 18th,
I just want to ask the
yes,
documentation.
Dear, it's your show. Go right ahead.
The documentation that they're requesting, if you know, is it new stuff that has to be sent, or is it repeat of other stuff that might have gotten overlooked? Do you know?
No, well, no, I don't know because we're not supposed to see anything, and we don't.
Okay.
There's only certain people that are allowed to see some of the information because it's protected.
That's right. They keep it under.
Yeah.
Remember, lock and key. The houses and the whole nine.
From what I've been told, some of it is duplicate, some of it is new information. It's just a clarity. You got to imagine when they sent these letters out, there was going to be a massive influx of information coming their way from all the jurisdictions. And I don't know if they just haven't had time to go through it, and that's why there's been this extension. But they did. They were very specific with numbers, saying this one's good now, that one needs a little more information. So it's just going to be a process that we're going to have to go through. Again, we still believe, just like every other municipality believes, that, and including the county, that we've done exactly what we've been required to do. We're showing good strides of what we're trying to do with the letter, the determination letter that your house has to come down, and how we're doing that. So you're saying that November, right? November. So
November
18th.
Yeah, and people may be thinking, well, why November? Why does it take until November? And some might surmise that the federal government hates Governor Ron DeSantis because they're Democratic and he's Republican, and they're trying to see what happens in November, and things may be different or things may be the same. And the people in Florida are just getting raked over the coals because of national politics.
And that's very possible. I could see how people could draw that conclusion based on the date that was selected. But at the end of the day, FEMA has a job to do. We have a job to do, and they want to obviously change. We all know, including FEMA, there's issues with the process that they have, and trying to change those processes. And we get it. And you want to update your, how you do things, but how you want to update them and what was in place when the storm hit are two different things. So to try to hold someone to a higher standard or a different standard now than what you've been telling us the entire time is kind of where we're going to do everything that you're asking for. We're going to provide you everything that you need. As I've been saying, I keep saying, it's like a broken record for 2 years.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a matter of if we catch you, we're going to catch you. If you did work without a permit, if you're back in your house and you thought you were beating the system, you're going to get caught. And it's probably going to cost you a lot more money to go back and do it the way you should have done it in the beginning. But we've warned you. We're trying to, it's there. When you got that many structures, the entire island is devastated. It's not something overnight you're going to be able to say, you're not going to catch everyone, but eventually you will catch everyone.
I've seen.
And I wonder if people are just saying, I needed to get back in my house, so I did what I'm going to do, and
Sure.
then they're
And they'll
just
go-
going to fix it later
Yep.
and
And
pay
there-
that price.
And there's been people that have been very upfront and said
Yeah.
that said, we just needed to get back in our house. The way the system was,
Yep.
we'll be the first to admit,
Right.
was not efficient. It was broken, especially before the storm. And then after the storm, it was just exasperated. So we completely understand that. They're coming forward. I know several
Probably the
people that
best
are
thing to
going
do.
through it. And, it still has to be, once it meets Florida Building Code, it gets signed off on, then you're back in compliance and everything's fine. But at the end of the day, that's all anybody's looking for, whether it's FEMA or the town, is just to make sure you're compliant so that you're not continuing to be a repeat person that has to ask for help or benefits repeatedly. That's
Yeah.
the whole goal.
right. So if people are out there and have,
Am I going to get any
done what
questions in
they've
today?
had to,
Am I
just a
going to get
minute,
any questions in
done
today?
what they went ahead
started.
and jumped out and fixed or did stuff without work. It's sort of like an amnesty thing where they can come in and say it to you, not to you, but to the town, and find out what they need to do, fix it, or are fines going to be levied in addition to just repairs or whatever?
Well, so the magistrate, as we know, magistrate imposes the fines. The town does not. So if we find that someone did work without a permit,
but if they come in and say it, then does it go through that process?
it still has to go through the same
Okay.
process. I mean, whether they come in ahead of time and tell us, hey, we did work
Okay.
without a permit, we want to make it right, or we
Find out.
find out, either way, it goes through the same process. They're going to have to make sure, or we're going to have to make sure that they're in compliance with the Florida Building Code at the end of the day. And if they are, and they meet all the requirements, they're going to pay whatever fine that they have for working without a permit, and they're going to get their permit, and they're going to close it all out. And then they'll be in compliance and they'll be out of the crosshairs, if you
Yeah.
will. But until that happens, it's just going to be a continual thing until you get through everything.
And I made a public doc request to the town last week and got the most up to date, I think, at the time, of the red tag structures on Fort Myers Beach, and there's now 40. There's
Oof.
probably more, or there could be less, depending on what has happened to the first 10 things happened to it. Like a couple of buildings came down a day before, a day after, whatever. So I don't know if there's 40 or 50, but like you said before, that's a moving number. It's always going up and going down.
Well, and when people get that letter, it has a lot of weight behind it, legal weight behind it. And I think that's waking some people up, because we're seeing people come in now for demolition permits to take unsafe structures down. And that number could go up faster, but we only have one building official.
Yeah.
And he's the only one that can make the determination if it's an unsafe structure and do the actual red tagging. Then legal takes over from there, right? But so it's a process, but we've had quite a few people come in when they've received that letter and said, okay, we need to get to work. And we've seen demolition permits come in for houses to be demolished. And that's all we're asking for. Make your property safe, come into compliance.
Whether they're waiting on insurance or not.
Whether
they
they're
gotta-
waiting on insurance, whether they're waiting on selling their property, whether they just don't want to do anything, whatever the reason is.
You got to do it.
I mean, we're almost 2 years in,
Yeah.
and it's kind of gotten,
Which
or
if-
if they come to us and say, you know what, our insurance company, we're fighting with them. They won't let us tear it down, whatever the reason might be.
Yesterday.
At least it's bringing people to the table
Mhm.
so that we know where they're at.
I got an email from Albert on Friday who said that this process, he has a client and his client didn't get due process. Do you feel like, I don't want to get specific on that because I didn't even share those details with you before the show, so you prepared for that. But do you feel like due process is set up for people in this whole situation with the structures?
I mean, I can't speak to due process. That's a legal question, obviously, but I feel I trust our attorneys, and I
Yes.
feel that if they are telling us if a property has been deemed unsafe and the letter has been sent, that I would hope that they're getting the due process that they deserve. But I mean, without knowing the
Yeah,
specific
yeah.
case and asking, I don't know what part of the due process they feel that they're not getting. From what I've been told, once they get the letter, they got 30 days
Oh.
to come into compliance. And
Sorry, Albert says it's not his client. Sorry, Albert. I don't want to put in
See?
misinformation out there. He shared something with me that
We've tried to be as open,
Yeah.
whether it's on your show, whether it's through our town's website, whether it's through our meetings, whether it's through the letters that have gone out, that this is coming. It's coming.
Oh,
and
come on, Albert. So he says it's the house across from Pink Shell. I can't even believe that house is still standing.
Well, yeah,
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at it, but have you guys seen that house
think-
across from the
I
Pink
think
Shell?
I think it's on the list. I think it's
It
like
is on the list. There's a red tag
133,
out in front of it,
133
yeah.
something. Yeah.
If that guy says he didn't have due process, I mean, come on, that thing needs to come down. It's
Well-
needed to come down since before the storm.
Yeah. And he did put a fence up around it, but people have
Yeah. There's a
breached-
boat stuck in the
have breached
ground
the fence
behind it.
and you know what? The
Yeah.
building official has deemed it unsafe. It's got to come down.
And that's not a town council decision, right? That's the building official makes the final
we have
call.
we have
on
no we have no we set up the process in which they go through to do it, meaning recoup the funds. The building official is the only person in the town. The town manager can't do it.
Yeah.
The council can't do
which
it.
is perfect way to set it up.
The
Yeah.
building official is the only licensed official in the town to
Yeah.
be able to determine an unsafe structure.
Right.
And when he does, there's processes that you
Yes.
can argue it or you can fight it. Once he does that, then it goes into the legal process that has been set up by the
Right.
attorneys. You got to take it down, and it's going to get assessed to your tax value. So it's or
Yeah.
to your taxes. So it's the process that's set up. It's a clean way. Nobody wants to do this. The town doesn't want to tear your house down for you.
You're not all back there like, woohoo, we're
No,
gonna wipe
but,
this
and
clean.
and it's not political in any way, which
is
is
not.
which is the way it was set up is perfect because you got Greg's house. He's running for town council.
Mhm.
He got nailed for something, and it's not political because there's no you're not involved in it. I don't even think Spec knew that the building inspector knew that was Greg's house. Not that should matter one way or the other. Could have been your house, could have been
Mhm.
Jim's house, whatever. But he didn't know it was Greg's house because. I mean, he's not paying attention to the politics. He's
Right.
trying to get to every single structure on this beach.
Well, Joe's probably the busiest guy on the island. I
Yeah.
mean, when you're the only single person that can make a lot of the determinations and doing inspections and doing the things that he does, he's working his tail off.
Yeah.
And he's worked a lot hard to get his license.
Yeah,
For
he's not
anyone-
gonna-
His
right,
license is
right.
on the line.
Exactly. It's noted. I was talking to Andy about it. He said when we were over at the Florida League of Cities annual conference,
Yeah.
the end of this last week, and we were having dinner and we were talking about Surfside, and he said when they came to town after the Surfside collapse, he said they didn't ask for me, they didn't ask for the attorney, they asked for the building
engineer.
official.
Mm.
We want to talk to the building official.
Who
They
I'm
went
sure
to
is
the-
out of a job.
Well, I don't know.
I mean-
We didn't get that far into it, but the point was, when it comes to Florida building codes,
Why would he
there's
do
only
that?
one person. The buck stops with one person, and it's not the town manager. It's not the town council.
Do you is that a Rolex you're wearing there?
It is. Yeah, it's made by
Oh,
Apple.
Here we go.
Oh my God!
Here
Did you
we
see at
go.
our show yesterday? We had a wonderful attorney on,
It's
Daniel
probably
Todd.
rolled down the
Yeah.
street.
But his entire dress, like from his shirt to his watch to his his
Yeah.
very nice shoes, cost more than my vehicle. Like he had
probably bigger too.
Greg Googled it. Greg was sitting there. He's like, I think that watch was $18,000. I'm
Yeah.
like, $18,000. The thing better start your car before you go out there. I mean, what?
Think about
Do you
it.
know how
That's a
many
quarter-
times I could go to Africa with Daniel?
He's such a nice
such
guy, though.
a nice
And he
guy.
wants
We
to
had
help people
such
out
a
with the
good
insurance
time
thing. And he made a
yesterday.
great point about
Yeah, good.
if you don't file a claim with your insurance company by September 28th of this year, you
You're
can't
out.
file a claim
The
for
statute of
Hurricane Ian.
limitations
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
And that if you're doing it yourself and you're still having trouble, it might be time
Yeah.
to call.
And he doesn't
And
take
a
money
lawyer,
until he
I
gets
mean,
you money.
Right.
So-
And he he mentioned he was there talking, giving a lot of information. He seems,
Down to earth,
he
yeah.
seems like he knows what he's
What-
doing because he's got that watch.
What do you
and
think
those
he was
shoes.
driving? I know we had this conversation
I was
last
so
night.
glad you didn't
She's
ask.
like, I can't believe you didn't ask what he was
was so
driving. You ask
glad.
everything else. I mean, you think it was a Porsche or a Pinto?
It wasn't a Pinto.
Yeah. Did he tell you what he had? What his
No,
car was?
I didn't ask.
Yeah. You
I
did
didn't
too.
ask. No, I didn't
Oh, and then
ask.
so somebody
Such a
comes
nice
up to
guy.
us after the show, and the person goes, "Oh, are you with the guy? Are you with this guy?" Like the person thought she was married to the young attorney, not the old fart, not the old fat guy,
No, I don't think
Mr. GQ
no.
with the slick back hair.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he thought
Yeah, he
I
did.
was.
Yeah.
He wasn't asking, "Are you with him?" Like, "Are you?"
Because your hair
married?"
looked
Just
super
like,
nice yesterday.
Are you part of the lawyer group?
No, you try to twist your way out of it. I know.
Dear, no
I
one's
know when
gonna
I
make that
it's,
mistake.
It's your lie. Tell it all you want. I guess.
So
But it was great, and he
Have you
did
ever
have
seen
a lot
that-
of information.
Speaking of lawyers, have you ever seen that series Suits?
Yes,
Isn't that a great
It's
series?
good.
It's really good.
it's really
no,
good.
I don't watch TV. She was
Ever.
complaining
Really good.
about how much Netflix costs last night when
But
we were
that's all
sitting
we
around.
have,
It's
so.
like,
It's not.
I don't
I don't
mind
even
paying
watch.
for it.
It's not cheap.
yeah. I can't wait till football season starts. And if you didn't know this, Margaritaville has the NFL package. They're going to have all the games. I don't know if they're going to have them adjusted la-di-da, or if they're going to have them at license to chill too, but they're going to have the entire package, which is going to be really cool for people to come to the beach
Yeah.
and spend your money.
Do you know if you're getting it here?
People
Go
love,
Jets.
People love to
Jets
watch
are going to win
football.
the Super Bowl this year.
You see
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
You
man.
see the Vikings took down Megan's Browns. last
Lions.
night?
The Lions are good. Lions good. Who watches preseason? I mean, come on.
Right.
Yeah, he did.
You
No,
watch the
I didn't-
game?
No, I didn't watch it.
Oh,
So
well, you knew
let-
the score.
so
we were following it in the drive. Yeah.
there are several things on Fort Myers Beach that the minute you post it, people lose their shit. They lose their mind.
You don't
They
say.
they post things about it. They just can't get enough
You're
of
not
it.
going to go on to
They
the
go
preacher
crazy.
thing, are you?
And it's the street preacher is one of them. It's like for some reason
The
everyone's
gift that
got an
keeps on
opinion.
giving.
Yeah. And for the longest time, they would come down in Times Square and they would set up in Times Square. And they have a racket, man. It's not just
Mhm.
one guy preaching. They got video. They want to make sure that if anybody hits the guy or gets in his face, that they have videotape of it, because it's part of, making sure that if somebody hits him, he can sue somebody. He sued the town for the sign
Mhm.
ordinance, and he won because the sign, apparently the town's ordinance was unconstitutional,
Mhm.
and he won 65 grand from the town.
Wow.
I think he won something at the county level because it was some kind of, they filed harassment against him or something, and it's
Yeah.
free speech. And so apparently he was around last week on the corner of Old San Carlos and Estero on a public sidewalk, and he was preaching into the loudspeaker. And we asked the attorney yesterday if there's anything that could be done, and he said unless it's harassment, like unless he's calling the girls whatever the name is or something, I think that kind of crosses the line. I'm not an attorney, but I don't know. But you would think we were trying to talk
Yeah.
about, I mean, where does the free speech end? Like, can you call somebody
And
that name
harassment begin.
and that's legal, or is that illegal? Where is it harassment? I know you're not a lawyer, but this is
No.
a problem
Well,
on the beach.
It is, and obviously free speech. Everybody gets to enjoy that, but you can take it too far. And this is my humble opinion. He does this for nothing other than to try to get a rise out of somebody. One day he's probably going to cross the wrong dad who he's called his daughter
Yep.
a whore in a bikini, which
Yep.
I've watched him do.
Yep.
But that to me is what he's trying to do. He's not preaching anything. He's just out there to try to get a payday. And as long as people buy into him, and and it stinks for the businesses because he's
Yeah.
out there with a megaphone doing it. It to me, free speech is great, but when you're abusing it, which in my opinion is what he's doing,
But,
and you're calling,
but Dan,
people's
you're using,
daughters,
but you're
I mean,
using
that's
emotion.
just
It's but what
disgusting.
it is nobody. I don't
Right.
think anybody would disagree with that. But there really is nothing that can be done because, and I felt bad for Plaka last year because he was always in front of Plaka and he would lose business because he was standing
I
right
would
there.
never say nothing can be done.
Right.
There's the sign ordinance was the sign ordinance. Our attorney at the time made a determination that that's the way that you could give them a COVID. He made the wrong determination. It cost the town $66,000. Doesn't mean that there's nothing that can be done.
Right.
Trust me, we're looking into
Yeah.
ways that we can. If you want to stand out there and you want to preach and you want to say whatever you want to say, but when you cross a line of being disrespectful to people
Mhm.
and insulting children, that
Yeah.
to his point, you have to take everything you can do to not
Right.
say something or
Right.
get involved, which you could stand there and talk nose to nose with him like this and say just what we're
Well,
saying,
right.
just to distract him. And you're
It doesn't
just
distract
entitled,
him.
but you're
It
just
doesn't
entitled.
distract him.
Well,
The
maybe
thing-
it doesn't. But
But the part of it too is I
at
kind
some
of did.
point you would hope he.
I don't
know.
I just think
But I see you're
he
getting frustrated.
is-
But
Of course, I'm getting frustrated
part
because
of
I think
it
people
is-
like that abuse
well, and
the
you have a
system.
daughter. I mean, you wouldn't want. I
Well, I
do
would,
too.
I wouldn't, if I wouldn't put my
Well,
daughter
daughter,
in that
bye.
situation because as a father, we all know what we would
Mm-hmm.
probably do.
uh,
But I just wouldn't put my daughter in that situation. I would go a different direction. I would walk away, which is a detriment to your point. To the
Right.
businesses that are trying to
Yeah.
after
But
a
it-
hurricane, trying to run a business, and you've got someone screaming in a
Right.
megaphone, calling people names.
The-
Grow
At
up.
what
Just
point
grow
is
up.
your freedom of speech imposing on my
It's
pursuit
not.
of happiness?
There's no
And,
such
you
thing,
know,
dear. There's no such thing. Freedom of speech, it does not
You're
Well,
very,
I
impose.
think
you're very
people
limited
should
what you can
ignore
do.
him.
We all know you're very
Right.
limited.
I
what
think
you
if you
can do.
just
if you're
ignore
walking
him,
down the
which
sidewalk,
is hard to do.
you can
I-
walk on the other side of the sidewalk to stay away from it. But my main point was the impact on the businesses when there was a Times Square and Plaka specifically. It's like people were not going in there because they don't want to sit in that nice spot, watch the sunset, but have to
Listen
watch
that.
this guy do what he's doing and also look at the pictures of the dead babies that he would display, which is why I think the town went after him for the sign issue.
Mhm.
But the debate is at what there's really John King was saying that he's asked the attorney to come back with ordinances. And I think if the government is going to try and regulate this, I'm going to be on the guy's side.
It's not about regulating. When are the people that own a business there? When are the people that have come down here and walk down the streets?
Right.
Their rights are just as important as his. You're entitled to the same rights. And if you're infringing on someone's rights,
Okay, where's the infringement on somebody else's rights? Where's
My
the
pursuit
infringement?
of
I said
happiness.
if you're
Right,
infringing
what
on
is it? But
someone's
where
rights,
that's what I'm trying to
It would
see if
be
there's
the
any way of
do you not do
determining
you,
that.
do you not have a right to walk with your daughter through Times Square without have someone screaming in your ear that your daughter's a whore?
I
Is
don't
that
know
a
the
right that
answer
you
to
should
that.
be able to enjoy?
Emotionally, the answer is easy, but I don't know what the rule
And you also
is.
have the right to ignore him and go
In the
walk
old
by and not
days,
give him.
In the old days, you just knock somebody out and
Right.
not get in
And
trouble
here's
for
how
it.
here's how I'll just bring it full circle and come back. As I said, I grew up with 6 brothers. You have some brothers that are extremely annoying and some that go the other direction. You always have the one brother that likes to poke. Sometimes you beat the crap out of them. Sometimes you don't. But what I've learned that works the best is to just ignore them. When you ignore someone like that,
Right,
they go
right,
away.
right.
Eventually they go away because nobody's paying attention to them. Now it's difficult with him because he's got a megaphone and he's screaming in your face. But-
and he'll just move to a place where he's going
Right.
to engage,
Sure.
especially if it's
Sure.
young
He tried.
guys.
He
on
tried to do
spring
the
break.
same thing. Remember when they did when Janine was down there and they had
Yeah.
the group that was doing the Christmas thing and people were singing Christmas carols? He tried to do the same thing. You know what the solution was? You
Drown
turned
him
your
out.
speaker up a
Yeah.
little louder and you couldn't hear him.
Right.
Yeah. The thing
So,
is,
and eventually he went away.
well, but the challenge is you never know when he's coming down and you
No,
never know
you don't.
where, how are you going to combat him? I mean,
All
I
you can
can-
do is plead to his conscience.
Yeah.
It's like if you want to sit there and you want to say whatever your beliefs are, go ahead and say it. But to show pictures like that, I mean,
I know.
to me, it's just tasteless.
there is no common
It's
sense.
still
He
you're
doesn't
right,
use
but it's-
common sense. Yeah.
It's just tasteless and it's.
But I
I can
honestly,
You're a
say
bad
he's
human
never
being.
coming on this show.
so I am trying to invite him on the show because I think it would be a riveting interview. I think that
I
would.
think he's going to filibuster, and you are not going to be
I
able
am
to.
calm, cool, and collected, dear. I would
Nope.
I would ask him
If-
about the
I can see
bikini.
WWE flipping
No,
the table
yeah.
over.
No,
You know,
that
remember
was
the,
only with Truex,
Yeah,
Todd Truex.
that would take the Truex thing to a whole nother level.
No, I'd have to be totally
Restrained.
restrained.
That's not your strong suit.
Oh, come on, dear.
It is
Please.
not.
I was around your entire family last week and I was
I know,
totally
they
restrained. I didn't
said-
hit any of them.
They said how lovely you were.
Yeah.
I think they were
So-
all holding their breath.
Yeah.
It takes his aggression out elsewhere.
Yeah. On the bird ladies.
There you go.
So,
So, what about beach renourishment? Shall
oh my
we move
gosh.
on to that?
Before you give an update on that, yesterday I went out there. I was down on the beach early because I don't want to get stuck on the bridge or I don't want to get stuck in any kind of wacky traffic, which we'll talk about. And I went down to Bowditch and I got out and I was attacked by mosquitoes down there. I mean, the Lee County is like, they must be importing mosquitoes in their parks, not
Was
in
it
any of the
that or
town
the
parks,
no-see-ums?
just in the county parks.
Was it
It's
no
been pretty wet.
seams or was it
No, they were
mosquitoes?
mosquitoes.
Oh.
And by
Both.
the way, I'm not going to lose my place. I was riding my bike to LA Fitness yesterday, and on Tree Line, there's a bunch of water, like standing water, and I ate like 1,000 bugs on that bike ride. Like my sweatshirt, I always wear a hoodie because I like to sweat. And so the dead bugs were all over my hoodie and they were in my mouth and they were stuck in my hair. It was disgusting. So I didn't lose my place. So I go out to Bowditch and I take some video. It's really cool. The process that they have set up to shoot the sand onto the beach and then the trucks spread it out. I mean, it looks awesome down there, the beach. I mean, it's not mixing the right colors yet, but it's a lot of beach.
Yeah, it'll bleach itself out eventually. But moving about 100 feet a day, 1,000-foot sections. So they're probably getting close to moving to the next section. It's been about a week.
Yeah.
So you'll see it move down to the next 1,000 feet. So it's going to be as fast as it can. And as long as the weather cooperates, they'll move through it fairly quickly. But the finished product it's nice. Like you said, It's not the same exact color, but it'll bleach itself out in no time. And
when it's done, is it going to be like where there's more beach doesn't need very much, just a little bit. And then where it's a shorter beach, they're just going to put more there. So it's all pretty even.
Well, I don't know. It'll be a straight line down the island, but
it won't be like this.
As the island curves, so will the beach. It's not going to be.
Oh, please, it's you.
The deodorant, not the deodorant, but the wash, the laundry soap that you have really, I don't like when it smells like my clothes are smelling perfumey now.
No, your clothes.
Well, obviously I stink now because I rode 25 miles, but I'm saying
I am trying to hold it in here.
Whatever, like I still have COVID nose, so I can't smell anything, but whatever detergent you bought.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Did you get it at the Goodwill? I mean, is it the cheapest detergent you can get? The perfume smell.
Stuff. I got the good stuff.
Well, tell me not to use it. And by the way, in the shower.
You use, so you're supposed to use a quarter cup.
Okay.
I went to get the laundry out.
My clothes stink because I worked out.
I know, dear.
You got to put extra in. Then I throw the dots in, like a whole friggin' thing of dots on. Maybe the dots are smelling.
You know what that does?
So, dear,
it attracts the dirt.
Listen,
that's what soap does.
In the shower,
Take a break.
In the second bathroom when your family came over and stayed, you took out all my shit out of the shower, like the cheap shampoo that I buy that doesn't stink. And whatever shampoo you put in there smells like ass. I mean, what is the shampoo that you put in there? I put it on my hair and it's disgusting.
They don't want to hear your language.
Why are you sniffing people's asses?
I'm not, but wow, it's like, what in the world is a skunk? By the way, when I was riding my bike down here, I went by Lakes Park and there were like 12 rabbits, like eating the grass along Lakes Park. I was counting them. I mean, it was cool to see the rabbits and I just thought that was cool. So Dan, about the beach renourishment, when do you think it'll be here in the Times Square area?
Good question. I don't know a specific date.
Yeah.
I don't. It's a mile.
That's fine.
Try to do simple math. It's 5,000. I'd say 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
Yeah. And then they'll finish at Leonardo Arms down there. We got to have a big party when Leonardo Arms gets more beach over there.
I think they will. I mean, it'll be nice to not just have the seawall.
Yeah. Yeah. So you went to Punta Gorda yesterday. Why'd you go there? What was going on with that?
Yeah. So two of Megan's high school friends from Chagrin Falls were in town. One was visiting her family in Sarasota. She lives in Ohio, and the other one lives in Orlando, but her son goes to FGCU. So there was kind of a middle place to meet.
Yeah.
The three of them were.
Do you like her friends or are they annoying?
No, they're great. They're great. And their significant others are great people too. And so, no, it was nice. We went up to a place. If you haven't been there, it's actually pretty cool. It's the oldest waterfront restaurant in Punta Gorda called the Riviera. And it's pretty neat. You can get there by boat or by car, and it's pretty neat. It's very old Florida-ish. It's got a nice little tiki bar out in the back. It's right on the water. And when you throw your fish out off the little dock where you can pull up, kind of like Matanzas over here.
Yeah.
You got the long dock you can pull up to. You throw your little shrimp tails off the end of the dock.
Thank you for wearing the shirt today. You never wear one of our
catfish and
shirts.
come up.
Thank you.
It's pretty cool.
So somebody had a question, which is good. Twig asks, why isn't there any sand being put out in Bowditch? And I think that because that's county property, right? Are they going to put sand in front of Lynn Hall?
I believe so. Yeah. I don't know why they didn't put it out in front of Bowditch because, well, it is a county park. So I know the county is working on it with their other projects.
Oh, they got their own deal then.
Well, we're trying to get them all to, the goal was to try to get everybody to line up and do it all at once. So when the contractor's out there, they can just start and go. That doesn't always work out when it comes to funding. And
do you know if it's the same contractor?
I don't know if it's the same contractor.
So
I can find out.
The other thing going on this beach, I mean, we're never short for content. I mean, we could do the show every day if we wanted to, but
so
we've been, every Saturday night.
We always said that about Minnesota weather.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, wait 24 hours. It's going to change. It's kind of like the content on the beach.
It's 15 minutes down here.
Or faster.
we now that we've been on NBC News with Lester Holt,
Oh, for
we
the love of
sit out
God.
Sure, is he
outside
coming to your
our
birthday party?
Dear, come on with the water dripping on me. We
I'm
talk
thirsty. It's
every
hot.
Saturday night.
You
We
stink
sit
like
out
perfume.
in
Just
our
trying to wash
backyard and we talk about how, what are you doing? What's going on? What are you doing? I don't like when you creep up behind me, don't you? We talk about how we could, can we ever make the show bigger or better or do bigger things? Or the attorney had some advice for us yesterday, but I didn't buy that one. And I think
I
Well,
think
you
it
can
was
share
a
it
good
or you
idea.
maybe
just
we
gonna-
could do something at
No,
downtown Fort Myers and expand it that way because we got some county connections. I mean, Ray Sandelli called me yesterday and we chatted about things. So what do you think? Do you think we're just small time? We're going to be small time forever, or maybe we'll hit the big
I
time
don't
one
think you're
day?
small time. I'm a big fan. If you can expand on a business, why not expand
Yeah.
on it?
Yeah.
we might have he might have hooked us up with
Okay.
CNN. So we'll
Oh
see.
yeah. Oh shit! I totally forgot to call her this morning.
You're
Damn.
an idiot.
The CNN lady she wants some help with finding people with insurance issues.
Sure.
So I'll call her after the show.
And
Thank
do
you
it-
for
Plenty of those.
reminding me.
Getting
Yeah,
some,
for sure.
and again, just getting more spotlight on the problems, and it not
Mm-hmm.
the not obviously the problems folks here are having, but the problem somebody in the future is going to have, and that was the attorney's kind of comment is. He was saying that we were able to help get the information out for people
During a
in
storm.
this community, and that how to be able to take it mobile and do it
Like
when
at Matt Lachey or
unfortunately
some other
it ever
community.
happens
But I'm thinking
someplace
th-
else.
this is our place. If there's a storm, I mean,
know.
and it comes here, we're going to be here first. I mean, that's always the first priority. I mean, even with that Dinky Debbie, it was crazy how many people
Yeah.
are interested in what's going on this beach.
Well, there's good and bad with that, right? It was the good part was we'll just talk about Debbie. You were able to because we were all stuck here.
Yeah.
You were able to report on it right away. The bad part of that is what comes 2 and 3 days that you spend after, because as we all know, the coconut telegraph kicks in and it goes from 2 feet of water to 5 feet of water. By the time it hits the north end, it's 1.5 feet taller than it was a block down. And then you start combating all the people. I heard this place was washed out and knocked over, and I heard this. So it just
Wow.
spirals out of control.
Yeah.
So you spent what was a water event.
Yeah.
It was not the end of the world. And within 48 hours, everything was cleaned up and it
Yes.
was like nothing ever happened. And I think once people started seeing that everything's back to normal, it was not a catastrophic thing.
Mhm.
It wasn't everybody's lives moved on. But people all of a sudden go to DEFCON 5
Yeah.
when they see
Right.
stuff like that.
I love that Jeep because it's yellow. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. So the having a little thing like Debbie, even though at the time it seemed like the water was going to be in this place, it
Yeah,
almost kind of
squeegee
like
big.
it's trial runs to see how you can do. The government here can do things at a different level, right? I mean, it wasn't horrific, but it still was a pain in the ass to have to clean up.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know that use a trial run. I think the staff is preparing as best they can
Yeah.
to try to combat anything that happens. And I think what it does is it shows the amount of work and time that the town staff is putting in, working with the county to try to get things cleaned up. I mean, like we talked about last week, you saw it was like choreographed chaos out there
Mhm.
with the trucks and the big haulers
Mhm.
and 24 hours after the storm was like nothing ever happened. So
Right.
it's much like, again, I keep referring to Minneapolis, but anybody who's ever been stuck at the airport in Minneapolis when there's a snowstorm and see how they have a choreographed thing that they
Yep.
just go through and clean that snow up to get everything back on track. It's similar to this after an event like Debbie.
Yeah, something
Well, it's
smells good.
It's
Yeah,
unfortunate
someone's
that
fired
you've gotten the
something
up. Yeah.
experience to do that, but at least, like you said, it's a double-edged sword, but at
Yeah,
least
unfortunately,
now
you don't
you're
want to ever
set.
be good at it.
No.
But, and every time you learn something new, you learn something new. It's like if we had this piece of equipment, we could get it much cleaner. If we had this, we could do that. Or if we did it this way. So yeah, you do learn from events
Yeah.
like that, but
We just need one season
just
without a
assume
big storm.
We just still as soon see the water stay on the right side of the seawall.
Stay over there. When I was walking on Williams Drive, by the way, did you see that transmitter that FPL left in front of the lady's house, Diane's house? I mean,
I haven't watched the walk
the
around yet.
FPL, they have a new transponder. What are those things called?
Transformer.
Sorry,
There.
I don't know. I'm such an idiot.
More than meets the eye.
They have a transformer, a
Yeah.
brand new one. So the old one fell off the pole and it's sticking in the ground. It's been there for almost 2 years now. And Diane, who lives in the house, she wrote "Help FPL." So I think Jim Adderholt's trying to help out. He must have contacted
Yeah.
Charlotte or somebody. And she calls FPL and she says, "Hey, can you guys come and get this transformer, transponder? It looks like a
Transformer.
spaceship. The
It's
damn
round,
thing. It's
is it round?
gigantic. The thing is gigantic. And she says, if the neighbors say, listen, if that thing's still here at Christmas, we're decorating it. You know, you're looking at your watch. You got
No,
somewhere to
It's
go.
going to be a snowman.
You got a date or something? Oh,
Jesus.
I know. He's so upset.
So,
He's complaining
um,
about his laundry. He's complaining about
I
everything.
know.
So hopefully that thing will be gone. But there was a house on that they were concerned about on Williams 5218. That's abandoned. It's got these vines, whatever these vines are that start. Do you want to do the show, for crying out loud? I mean, what are you doing over there? Answering all my questions.
Have you finished?
And they're going all the way across the driveway into the neighbor's yard. It's like they're gigantic. What are they called again? Gray Road vines.
Gray Road Vine. Is anybody
Railroad?
So
Railroad.
Railroad
I know
vines.
nothing
Railroad.
about greenery and horticulture. What are the? Have you seen now that they've pulled away from the Red Coconut property, the old station for the Lee County Sheriff's Office?
Yeah. Oh, that
What are
trail
those
is gone.
trees?
You're right.
What are
I
those
just
trees
noticed
that are growing? Are those Australian pines? What is it? Now that that's gone, you could see all the row of
Where's
trees that
Kathy
have grown
Turner
up.
when you need her from the
When
garden club?
next time you go by where the trailer used to sit, where like Lynn's and all that used
We'll
to be,
have to use
there's
that.
there's green
You're
trees.
right.
That
I feel
look
like you have a piece
pine
of hair in
trees
your
that are
mouth you
growing
can't get
up
rid
back
of.
there.
Well, why don't you shave your
By the
beard?
way, now
That's
just,
what I'm wondering if they're Australian pines.
you guys want to do a sidebar show? You want to have a little discussion on the
Railroad
sidebar?
vines.
Where's your wife, by the way? How come you didn't bring your wife? Oregon. Wow, Oregon. 5. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Very
5th
cool.
grandchild.
Has the grandchild been born or on the way? Okay, that looks like it's 3 weeks. By the way, Aaron here is. Did we already say that Aaron's with child? Aaron's
that
going to have a
okay?
baby boy.
Oh,
Here.
Congratulations.
So she did a reveal last week in Oregon, right? Michigan.
Michigan.
It's close to
It is
Oregon.
close. I mean,
Yeah.
and to be honest, the lawyer
right
that was on the
latitude.
show yesterday
Yes,
did a
there's
reveal.
babies. There's babies coming out everywhere.
Yeah.
We got.
He had only told their immediate family, and of course, Ed asked him, and he goes, "Well, I guess I'll just say it."
Is he having a boy
said his
too?
No, he just announced that they were pregnant. So
Oh.
after the show,
he
he's
doesn't
like,
know yet.
"I gotta buy some of your stuff, guys. I think my wife's gonna be mad that I let the cat
isn't
out
it
of the
amazing
bag."
how on this beach things travel faster than the speed of light?
You're right, man. Yeah.
It's with it.
Yeah.
I always tell everybody, with our golf carts, I'm like, trust me, if you're doing anything wrong, I'm going to know about it in
Right.
30 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
And they don't believe me until they do something wrong. And then I'm calling them.
Yeah.
Like, you were lying. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I have a picture
That's
of you.
why I love this place. Everybody is willing to chat. So Aaron's having a baby. We got our friend Robin at Margaritaville who waits on us when we do the show. You just had your second baby, right? Oh, you're
He's
having
his-
another one.
Yes.
Holy
his wife-
moly.
He's got the little
See
one.
what
and
happens when you're
she's-
trapped in wild
Jeepers
Yeah.
creepers. These
Yeah,
are
a
all.
lot of new baby. What?
I wish we were having babies. I wanted to have 10
If
kids.
that's the case, we should call the Pope
Yeah.
and the National Enquirer.
When our daughter
because-
eventually has a baby, hopefully, if she ever does, that baby's going to Disney every weekend. I mean, I'm going to
You
spoil
said
the
that.
shit out of that baby. What? Yeah. Nice,
Nice.
Disney. Yeah.
You better
I gotta
sell
sell
some, you better sell some more
Let
ads.
him go.
I got to sell some more merchandise. By the way, I see 2 people have the orange day before the New Year's Eve, the day before New Year's Day. It's New Year's Eve 5K. It is going to happen again. We already have 20 people signed up for it, and I haven't even promoted it. It's going to be for the women's club because we're trying to rebuild the women's club, and it's going to be on. Yes, have you guys seen that building? Have you seen? We're getting a special wall in there, and so
Are you going to keep the color? I really
Yellow.
love that color.
no, we're going yellow this year. There's too much moving away from the yellow, and I have to draw everybody back to the yellow. I'm just I like the orange, but not this year. We're going yellow, Dan.
A late friend of mine from Minnesota, a great guy. You and him would have got along great. Yellow and red. It's like either he was into Hulkamania or
That's right.
everything he designed, everything he did
Or the
was red
Redskins.
and yellow. It was red and yellow, red and yellow, red and yellow. And it took probably 10 years of getting to know him before I finally figured out he told me he was colorblind. So
Thank you, Kathy.
Oh,
everything was red and yellow.
Kathy confirmed they are railroad vines.
Railroad
Kathy
vines.
is the Estero Island Garden Club
That's what's
expert.
growing up. The trees that are growing up.
no,
behind?
No, across the yard, 5218. 5218 needs to be demolished soon. Williams. So let's talk about the Island Pancake House, Dan, because when that place opens up in Seagrape Plaza, I said to
Yes.
Brian,
People love their breakfast.
when you open and they have a full liquor license, there's nothing better than pancakes and beer, bro. I mean, how did you get that's an awesome idea right there. And so,
Well, and they're also going to have lunch, and they're serving breakfast and lunch all day.
Mhm.
I mean,
most
till
people
2, but I
like
bet
the
they're going to
food, but
stay
they
open
love the
later.
liquor. He says he's having issues with Tico.
We were made aware of it.
Howie! He's our softball guy, right?
Yeah.
Runs the
Howie, he's
softball
a
league.
great-
Yeah.
Have you ever had him on your show?
I invited him on once, and then something happened. But I need
You got to
to
get him on.
yeah.
That guy he could take up 3 hours of content, just his
Yeah.
stories about his
He's a
music
good.
days.
He's
and-
funny, man.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's very funny. Ray Sandelli reached out to me. They were having issues with Tico getting lines put in. So I haven't had a chance to reach out to Brian and find out if that has been taken care of. But I think it was
He's
on
just
Wednesday.
waiting. He's just waiting
So
now for Tico to show up.
It's just a matter of getting it in. But
So-
we're aware of it, and we're doing what we can.
Yeah,
to help
he
them.
said yesterday the town's been great. It's not the town
Yeah.
or it's not the county. And what is that? What was that?
It's a Jeep, but it says it's like
I thought it said Jurassic Park on the
of it.
So yeah, he said the inside is done. And I
Mhm.
mean, they're just kind of waiting to. He
To
said
get
he
the
went
gas
from
line running.
power to gas or something, which is way over my head.
So it's just for your cooking,
Yeah.
your cooktops.
So what else did he? He's building a wall. Well, he has a wall built. He's putting on the wall pictures of folks that have experienced the
Hurricane Ian
storm. He
stories.
wants to
Mhm.
do some kind of dedication. At some point, I don't know how people always feel about that. Do they want pictures of going back? It's emotional when you go back and then you're trying to figure out how to go forward. But he wants to do something, so he's figuring it out. So if you have a story and you have a picture that you want to send him, you should do that. I don't remember his email because it wasn't easy. I think he's still on AOL or something like that. But
No, he was
I'll get
on
it out there.
Hotmail.
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 Yeah.
Which I think is very, very nice of him to do. And
They're
on Friday, by the
really
way,
nice people.
lots of stuff going on in this beach, Dan, even though it's off season. On Friday, the church on Williams, which is there's so many churches on the beach.
St. Raphael.
St. Raphael is doing a plaque dedication
Mhm.
on Friday. I think it's 11:30,
Mhm.
where they're doing a memorial for the folks that passed away. Somebody on Williams did stay in one of the houses on the corner and didn't make it out on that day, and so they're doing a dedication of all the folks that didn't make it on the island. And then Saturday's Al Duret's service at
Mhm.
12:30 in Fort Myers. So we'll post all that information. Boy, I don't think we've ever had Al on the show, but from the comments on our page, man, that guy was
He was a
super
salt of the
loved.
year. The first time I got to really meet Al is when I was running for council in 2019. He and Janine were the first two to reach out and support and say, we want to host an event for you to get you to know the people in the South End and the people in the South End to get to know you. So it was out in the Tiki Bar that was freshly built back then. It hadn't been open for that long. So I don't know if that was the first event held in there or not, but it was pretty close to that. So, he's always held a special place in my heart for that.
Yeah.
But, our condolences certainly go to him and his family. But he was a good guy. I know he was close to Ray Sandelli too.
Yeah, when Ray called yesterday, he mentioned Al. He said I spoke to him a couple of times in the last 2 weeks, and he didn't think it was that close to him passing. So he wanted to know when the service was, which is why he called.
Yeah.
So that's going to be Saturday at 12:30. So there are a lot of things. Wow.
It's a busy week. It's a busy week. We got a council
Monday?
meeting on Monday. Yeah.
Anything big on the agenda? I didn't even look at the agenda.
Yeah. So probably the biggest thing on there is the second reading of the comp plan amendments that are
Oh.
going to go through. So the rest of my day will be spent going over that again.
It's going to be a long meeting then.
No, I think it'll be the first time it was a long meeting because you're reviewing all
Every
the changes.
detail.
Now you're reviewing some of the tweaks based on what we said from that. So if there are no changes, then it'll be done. But
So-
if it's not,
Let's clarify something for people that go to these meetings with the Red Coconut and Seagate and London Bay and all these big projects that people rightly have an opinion on. They should voice their opinion. They should come to these meetings and use the public comment to speak for 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes. Sometimes you let it go a little past 3 minutes because you don't want to cut people off. But, the thing that people need to realize is nothing has been approved yet. And because the town, I don't mean to speak for you, but the town council and LPA have met
But I will.
twice. And they say that they want to stick to the comp plan and the LDC. That doesn't mean every project is going to be 3 stories. It means part of the process is you can ask for 70 stories. You can apply for a CPD, but at the end of the day, the town council can tell you to screw off, or they can approve it for you. So
Right.
people
And-
need to understand the
and
process.
I think that's a very good point that you made. When we had those joint meetings, we had the discussion that we weren't going to change the comp plan to allow more by right. That was the whole discussion. But it was also very important that we allowed whatever process was in place before the storm stay in place, so that, yes, it says it's, the land development code restricts height, it restricts all these other things, but it's important that they still have the process. And to your point, it was the whole saying we're going to stick to the comp plan. I think that's gotten over embellished.
People
That is all we were saying is your FAR is your FAR. What's in place is in place. We're not going to just give you
Yes.
more
Just
simply because
you
you're
made an
having-
investment.
Exactly.
But you've always been able to ask.
You can ask for
more.
anything you want,
Right.
whether you're a homeowner, up to obviously the maximums, but you can ask whether you're a homeowner or a commercial business owner. You can ask for whatever you want. Doesn't mean you're going to get it. And you talked about due process. They have a due process to be able to go through and ask for what they want.
Right. And you
And
guys,
it doesn't mean they're not going to get it. I mean,
Doesn't mean they're not. Doesn't mean they are. It's
and
right.
you guys have set a precedent by giving Myerside more density than they were allowed.
I don't know that we gave. a
Well,
precedent,
other
but-
developers would look at it that way. I would if I
Sure,
was a
they
developer.
can use it, but I mean, to me, it's not a setting, because every project, in my opinion, is its own project. It's
True.
what works at Myerside or doesn't work at Myerside is not what's going to necessarily work at Outrigger property, and what's not going to work at Seagate.
Right.
You have to look at each one and
Right.
what they're asking for, and does it make sense for the island or doesn't it?
The thing that is interesting to me about Seagate is that Matt has come in under the number of density.
Units.
He's come in like he's there was somewhat of a dispute, according to staff, whether he had 150. But I think, let's say, just for argument's sake, he's allowed to have a density of 150 units.
Mhm.
He's come in under that. He's given some public benefit, but there are still people that say it's 17 stories. You got to stick to 3 or 4 stories. And I have begged Matt to let me have a picture of the property that shows 3 or 4 stories all across the property, how ugly that would look. And instead of the 17 stories back off the beach, nothing on the beach that's livable. But I mean, there are just going to be some people, it's their right,
Mhm.
that never want to go above 3 stories. Even though if it's 3 or 4 stories, you still can't see. Whether it's 4 stories or 17, what's the difference? You still can't see the beach.
Well, I think what's important to talk about is whatever these properties end up being, whether it's what's being proposed or something
Sure.
down the road,
Sure.
something's going to be developed
Mhm.
there,
Yeah.
one way or another. You don't buy property to let it just sit there and do nothing,
not
right?
that.
It's going to be
amount.
developed, whether it's that property, whether it's Myerside, whether it's Times Square, whatever it is on the island, whether it's your own residential, you're not buying it to just let it sit there. You're going to develop something on it. And what that development looks like,
Mhm.
we don't know. Right now, we know because we have a proposal in front of us. Now, whether it gets rejected or whether it gets accepted, we'll find out. But if, let's say it gets rejected, there's going to be another proposal. There's going
Yeah.
to be something different. So you have to, that's why I'm saying you have to look at everyone individually. You got to look at what's in front of you. Does it make the most sense for the island based on where it's located, based on what the comp plan says, based on what the land development code says, based on input from the community? Does
Yeah.
it make sense? And we all know 100% of the people aren't going to love every single project,
Right.
and 100% of the people aren't going to hate every single
Yeah.
project. So that's why I don't want to comment
A
on
couple-
things until
right,
until
right.
it comes before the LPA.
Right. I don't
and
mind
makes the
commenting on
changes.
them incessantly. So, but the
That's
thing,
fine. I mean,
but the thing
fact
about
that I think
Seagate,
the important thing is the fact that people want to
They're
invest
engaged.
back in, that
Yeah.
they want to
and the
build
people
their
in your
properties
community are
back. 'Cause
engaged.
you remember 16 months ago, there were a lot of people
Yeah.
like, where's the town going to go? What's
Yeah.
it going to be? Are they going to
Right.
build back? Am I going to have a place to bring my grandkids? Am I going to have a place to bring the kids? And I think people now understand, you can tell by the houses being built, that we're
Yeah.
on the move, right?
Yeah.
We are
Right.
going to be if
and
not,
it's still years and years away.
it's still going to take time,
Yeah.
right? Construction takes time. And
But on the
as you had on
Seagate,
your show, was it Thursday or Friday? Costs come into play. Everything comes
Crazy.
into
Right.
play.
Crazy.
How much it? I mean, I've heard anywhere from $600 to $800 a square foot for commercial building. That's a lot of money.
crazy. Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
So
I
on
can
the,
afford to.
I'm obsessed with the
square feet.
Seagate thing because it was very interesting to watch some of the comments at the Pink Shell last week. But the thing with Seagate that people might not understand is that by right, for some reason, the town gives a developer this multiplier in certain zoned areas. Like he could build a resort there, and he would get 2.5 times the density. Now he says the condos are not going to be rentable, so they're going to be sold like the one down the street there that's selling on the beach. What's the big one that's selling for like $10 million? Next to the outrigger.
The Gulf Side.
Gulf Side 12.
12,
They're
yeah.
sold like crazy. So people there's money out there. People are coming to the beach.
Sure.
Not many people that lived on the beach before the storm are going to be able to buy that condo. But my point is that he could build a resort hotel that would have 450 rooms. Now, you want to talk about the difference in traffic in a hotel resort in that spot compared to full-time residents. The people should keep that in mind.
Well, yeah, what you're referring to is to convert from dwelling units to
Hotel.
hotel units.
Mhm.
So that's a multiplier. I don't know that it's 2.5 because it's different in certain areas, but we'll just say 2.5. To your point, that's 450 hotel rooms. Could that have been his development? Sure. If this gets rejected, is that a way he could go? Sure. But that goes back to my point. What, you have the bird in the hand. I mean, this is what you have in
Right.
front of you. Does it overall make sense? Or do you want to go back to the drawing board and see what comes next? And eventually you're going to get to something that's going to be developed.
Yeah.
So you got to look at when it finally comes before the council. That's when we'll know exactly what's
Sure.
being proposed, because the LPA is going to work through it, and there's going to be just from the meeting, because I was there, someone raised the point, which is a very valid point, about the 6 entrances coming out of their exits, and especially on Denora. You could tell they took that very much to heart, and I guarantee they
There's
probably have
6
changed it.
entrances now?
Total for the whole thing, but
After they develop
you remember there were 2 people that brought up very valid points about, we have school kids that live on Denora. There are families that live on Denora, and
Yeah.
the bus stop is at the end. And we appreciate the sidewalk, but we're concerned with the exits that
Traffic.
come out.
Mhm.
And you could tell that just by the way the body language was. One person looked to another one, that looked to another one, and they were like, okay.
gotta
So
fix
they're going to
this,
address
yeah.
that, because nobody wants kids to have to deal
Yeah,
with
and
that, right?
and that
they'll-
is totally up for
but
changes
that's-
like that.
And I think every developer that I've met with it at least is reasonable, and they want to listen. And when things like
Yes.
that come, when you're designing projects to that scale, to think about every little
Right, you
possible
can't.
thing, but that's where public engagement comes in,
Right.
Yeah.
because they made a point, a very valid point. It'll be addressed by the developer. It'll come back and
And
say,
that's
here's
how it
how
works.
we're fixing it. But it takes community engagement.
Yeah.
Whether you're for it or against it, we love it here at all. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Send us emails, call us, do whatever you want to do.
Can I just ask?
Why do you always say, can I ask? You
Well,
don't have to
because
ask if you can ask. It's
because
your
I'm
show.
Like trying to block you. For
I never ask you if
responding.
I can ask. I just
Oh.
ask.
So you brought up the Gulf Side 12. Well, or we did.
Yes.
I don't know who
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
But so that went in. I'm so confused now. Did that go through the process before the storm, or was that after the storm?
It was before, yeah. But they came, I don't know if it was after the storm. They came in and asked to add a little bit of height, open, not for the rooftop thing.
'Cause
But I don't
that's-
remember if that was before or after the storm.
That's on the beach
It's on the beach,
side.
yeah.
It's what, 4 stories,
Yeah.
4 stories. It fits in there. It looks nice. They're obviously making money, or I
Sure.
would assume.
And I don't know what they paid for their property. I don't know. I mean, but to your point,
It is
they
worth
could have
researching.
done whatever they wanted. They could have come in and asked for a hell of a lot
They
more.
seem
than
happy.
they-
Right. And
they
they-
made a choice. Whatever their investment is,
It
whatever
looks
their
good.
pro forma
They're-
is, they did what they want to do. But-
Yeah.
but
So
not every project is like that. And again, pre-storm, just listening to what they were talking about at the Neptune on your
Mhm.
show, they purchased the property with no intent to do anything on that
Yeah.
Right.
property, and then something outside of their control totally
Right.
change their performa and everything that they have to do. So now they have to make decisions based on their investment. Totally understand that, and they'll propose what they're going
Yeah.
to propose and let it go through the process.
the thing that's interesting about the Neptune is they can't knock the building down. Obviously, the town we all want that building to come down. It's an eyesore, but they say they can't knock it down because of the bank. The bank considers that some kind of investment that they made, and
Some
so
equity. Yeah.
it's goofy. That whole thing is, I mean, just to show you that the different phases that people are in and deal with. I mean, when he
Yeah,
explained
I
it, it
heard
was
him say- and
weird.
I have no reason to doubt him if
Yeah.
that's
Right.
what he's saying. I don't know that he
But
would
you
say
could
it
put this
publicly.
from the town standpoint. We don't give a crap. Knock that thing down.
Well, our biggest standpoint was there were people living in it,
Yeah.
and there were people having fires, and they were there. So, we pushed them pretty hard to get in there and at least secure it so people couldn't get in it. And to their credit, they did. They went and boarded things up. They got it so that people couldn't get inside there. Is it an eyesore? Absolutely. If they're saying they can't tear it down, who am I to second
Yeah.
guess them? I wouldn't think he would say it publicly if it wasn't true, but they're trying to go through the process
Yeah.
just like everyone else.
So the other big thing is the snag here that Mark Wilson has got himself into with the Outrigger property and the canal on the other side. Like he's got this proposal on the beach side that he wants the town to consider. And until I hear otherwise, it's on the LPA agenda on Friday. He told me it was on the LPA agenda, although I got a text before the show and some people think he's pulled it for some reason. So I'll try and find out from him whether it's on the LPA agenda because that's a big deal. But he's got this Charlie's property on the other side and the canal that's coming to Charlie's. The people on Egret and the other street, whatever it is, Curlew are very concerned that boats are going to be coming down through their backyard, which I understand they're concerned about, but they don't own the canal. It's going to be interesting to see how the town deals with that property. Can the town, we've had this kind of discussion before, hold him up on the other property, being that he's not revealed anything on the Charlie's property, but the neighbors are really concerned.
Yeah, they're concerned. And again, they're being vocal about it. And I know Mark is listening. And again, he takes things into, at the end of the day, he does have the right to be able to do that. You can't take that right away from him. That doesn't mean it's the right thing to do just because something is legal or something. It doesn't mean that it makes sense to do it. I know he's listening. I know that he gets it. He's again got to do what he's going to do. At the end of the day, we certainly hope that he doesn't do that, but it's his property, it's his business, and it's his right. You can't hold it against him. You can just encourage him to listen, and I think they will. And I don't know that they're going to completely change it, or maybe there's a median in there that you can. But it's an unanswered question that people would like to know. And I always tell when I talk to people, whether it's a homeowner or someone else, when you walk into a room and you're starting out at 0% in favor of you, it's very hard to get past 50%. So if there's things that you want to do to help your project, you need to really pay attention. You really need to listen to the public, find out what their asks are, what their concerns are. And if you can make those concerns go away, then most of those people will be like, okay, now it's viable. And now you've gone from 0 to 40 or 40 to 50 or whatever it is. I mean, you just look historically in the past. That's how it's worked. If you listen to the public and you alleviate some of their concerns or at least come to a happy medium, then people can either be objective about it at least and go from a hard no to maybe, or
I think
some
it's
go from yes to a no. Or
can you ask a question?
Yeah, can I? But I was going to ask your question again. But can the town, put those two things together? They have to look at each thing that comes before them separate. It's not like you can say, well, we want to know what you're doing.
You can deny it, not say why, right?
Well,
I mean, you know what?
You're not going to do that.
You got to look at each project individually. You can't, if they own a property 3 streets down, what they're going to do there is its own project. You have to look what's in front of you and make decisions. And it's about, you're asking for this. The town feels that it needs this. Either you work it out or you don't.
Rebecca is watching from Galveston. That's in Texas, Dan.
Is that where that's at?
So I think the best thing for him to do is say, listen, I'm going to build a restaurant there. We're going to use the canal for boats. I'm going to build a restaurant there. Mm-hmm. We're not going to use the canal for boats. Just put it out there.
Or maybe he's not going to build a restaurant there.
It's zoned for a restaurant, though, right? Come on. Don't you know what every piece of property is zoned on this island, Dan? What the hell are you doing every day?
Right, exactly. Slacking, evidently.
Come on, man.
No,
maybe that's what we need to do is put up the zoning map.
Yeah. When you vote on Tuesday, are you going to vote once or twice? Just once?
Oh,
I'm going to go vote once for each category. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Just want to make sure that you're not like a double voter like people we know.
No, I only need to vote once.
Anybody you want to share with who you're going to vote for on Tuesday so that you might encourage other people to do the same for maybe county representative?
I'm certainly voting for the person that I endorse, and that's
David Malacca is going to be the next Lee County. I hope that he wins by 80% or higher. That's what I hope. He crushes Thornton like a grape, and then that guy has to wash all that stuff off the side of his truck. So I mean, but nobody cares what I think. I mean, could be like the kiss of death.
You
like if he wins, it's because of me.
Certainly dug your heels in, haven't you?
Yeah, I love getting in. There's we love watching some of the videos that they put out because they're kind of wackadoodle. So what else is on the primary agenda locally? Not much, right? I mean, nothing other than that. That's the biggie. Well, you got Amanda and Mike Greenwell.
Yeah, because all the commissioners.
Did you endorse anybody in that race?
No, I have not officially endorsed anybody.
That's going to be I think that'll be closer. I think Mike will win, but I think that'll be closer than.
Well, we're going to know at the end of the day on the 20th. You know,
Yep.
Where are you going to be doing your watch party for the primary election?
Well, actually, I was invited to the watch party for David Maleka,
Oh,
so
At
I'll be there.
Pelican Preserve.
I'll be there.
Yeah. Oh, well, we were invited too, but we don't know if we're going. Will you be voting for Sheriff Carmine Marcino?
Without a doubt.
I think he's going to get. Did you see the guest editorial that Greenwell wrote about how many more deputies that the Lee County is going to have? Like, they're going to have like hundreds more deputies next year. They got like $700 million.
Hey, you know what?
I've
I've always been a back the blue guy.
Yeah, man.
I always
Yeah.
have been. I always will be. I mean, these guys put their
Or in
lives
this case,
danger.
the green.
In this
Yeah.
case, the green. But in general, you know,
Yeah.
For what they get paid and what they have to do. I mean, you saw the response time just down by Ed's house.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
you make a call.
quick.
They're
I'm never
quick.
going to the Laguna Shores again. I mean, that is where all the hoodlums live. So
I thought for a
Jason,
minute maybe somebody fell in the pool or something. I wasn't quite sure what happened. on it.
Jason Garrison asked a good question. We had Tommy Doyle on the show, and what's going on with Tommy is bizarro world. It's like I don't even know what to say about. If you haven't
That was a
researched it,
shocker.
and now I've already voted, like I did early voting, because one time I went during COVID to vote, and the line was crazy. So I'm like, I'm voting by mail. I don't care what Trump says. I'm voting by mail. So I got my voting, and I voted for Tommy because he's been on the show. He's been like an honest Indian on the show, like a do-gooder guy. And then you see this stuff. I don't know what was on TV this morning about some kind of statement. he
I
made.
have not read any of the stories about what you're talking about, but I did see a statement on the news this morning before I left the house from him saying it was a bad time of his life, and he regrets it. And
Yeah.
he and his wife are working through it. That's honestly the most I know about the
Right.
entire story.
Well, yeah. I mean, apparently he cheated on his wife, and there's some emails out there. I mean, it's just. I wish I could take that vote back
Ooh.
because you gotta have integrity in your marriage, right there. Don't you have integrity in our marriage?
Yep.
Yes, he's got a Rolex
just want-
and maybe
You know,
drives
she's
a-
reading the Tommy Doyle stuff, and of course she's thinking, if you ever did this to me, I cut it right off. Cut it right off. It's
You wouldn't have to worry
what was the
about
name
any
of that?
butter.
She would do it slowly. She would switch up your laundry detergent and sniff you to death.
what was the name of that guy?
No,
that
it's wood chipper and meat in the Everglades.
my uncle knows
And
about.
she knows how to be a survivor on her own. I would be
That's right.
worried if I were you.
Remember back in the 90s, or was it the 80s? I feel like I'm 100 years old. There was a big story about Lorena Bobbitt. That's right. Who was
Yeah.
that? What was the guy's name?
I don't remember
What
what
was
his
the
name. I
guy's
remember
name?
the story.
They became
but-
big reality stars
Yeah.
after that or something.
I
mean,
don't. I remember. I remember the
That's
whole
funny.
thing. That
You
was-
don't
that was
remember
90s,
him at
yeah.
all. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't remember
That
his
was
name.
a
though,
long
so
time ago.
Just goes to show you.
Did we miss anything there? I mean, we could talk. We talked for like it's an hour and 7 minutes. I don't even think we talked about anything relevant.
Well, yeah. Give an update. We did meet last week. Andy and I and Frankie met with some people from FDOT, their PIO, the people that are running the construction site out here, and the job soup, and let them know our concerns. Obviously, we all see the traffic when it backs up going down Crescent and coming up Fifth. It's not sustainable, especially when we have flooding and cars get stalled. So we probably spent an hour and a half with them, letting them know our concerns and offering any help we can do to open that thoroughfare through Onestero Boulevard as they're going through the entire construction process. The bridge is going to be what it is. There's only so much space, but if we can keep that thoroughfare traffic coming off the island, especially when we get to season. I mean, yesterday it took us 40 minutes to get off the island, and it's the
Ooh.
middle of
Good
August.
grief.
So it's an issue now. It's going to be even worse. And
I can't even imagine.
you could tell
season.
by their faces that they very much were interactive. They understood. We offered, if we need to offer up one of the concerns they had was obviously parking for their vehicles. If we as a town can offer up some parking to them to be able to alleviate not having to park there. Obviously, they got to have construction equipment. We're going to do whatever we can. We left the meeting agreeing. They invited us to be on their weekly call with them for
Oh,
their
good.
update on the production and how it's going and things that are changing. So a member
So
of staff will be on that call every Thursday. So we'll be able to stay involved in it. And we agreed that we would have the unified message coming out between our PIOs of if it's changing, here's what's going to change, how it's going to change, how it's going to impact people.
The FDOT PIO is terrible. I sent her an email yesterday, Thursday morning, asking her if she could give me an update. She doesn't need to give me crap. Friday morning, she gets back to me more than 24 hours later and says, I'm forwarding your email to the other person because you apparently I got the PIO from Nicole, who does a great job for the town. The communication that they've had is awful. I mean, can you picture an engineer from FDOT standing out at the base of the bridge saying, yeah, this will be okay. We'll close this part off and we'll just make Crescent the area where everybody, oh, yeah, that's a resort that people have to check into. So that's not going to back up out onto Crescent. And then so the bridge now, you have these orange barriers that if a bike is going one way and a bike is going this way, they don't fit. Two bikes don't fit. And then if there are people walking in a bike, it's more dangerous now. I mean, I could be an engineer apparently and do what they did over there. I mean, did they really realize what
Shall
they
I get
did
you
to
some
this town?
crayons and you can do a rendition?
It sounds
of
like
what's going
crayons
on?
would be a whole lot better than what they did right now.
Well, again, on the bridge, space is limited, and hopefully it's not going to take as long because they're not doing anything structural on the bridge. At the base of the bridge, obviously, you saw they've taken out all that concrete median stuff. So that's the first phase, and it's going to be a process. But we really need that lane open to get off the
Well,
island.
the other thing too is I was walking from Margaritaville over to Times Square area, and where you walk, it wasn't clear to me. It said this sidewalk is closed,
No
go that
signage,
way,
no
and I'm
signage.
like, well, but doesn't look nearly as safe as cutting through here where there's no
Same
traffic.
thing on the bridge.
So,
There's no signage that says bikes should stay off the road or you're going to die.
right.
I mean, if you ride your
that's
bike,
something we'll certainly bring up
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
And we noticed the other night, Friday night, coming back onto the island, they had it closed to one lane, so traffic was stacking up going back San Carlos while they let people on Estero get off, and then they'd stop Estero, and they were bringing cars on. We weren't aware that was going to happen. And again, maybe they discussed it on the meeting on Thursday. We were at the Florida League of Cities, so we weren't on that first meeting, and maybe they discussed it then and we didn't hear it. But it kind of took you by surprise because
Right.
you sat there for a while
wondering what's going on.
Well,
Yeah.
you could see what was going on, but you didn't. They were setting up what I think you were talking about. They were moving some of the stuff on the bridge, so they had to have a vehicle in the one lane
Right.
to be able to do that work.
Do you ever lose your temper in those meetings? I mean, you're kind of laid
Oh.
back, and the one time I know I might have told the story. The one time where I thought he was going to lose his temper was when we were standing in that parking lot, the county parking lot that nobody uses by the Goodwill, and the residents were so pissed that they couldn't get back on the island to see their house. And a couple of guys just got in your face, man. And you were just there because I think I called you and said, nobody from the town is here. You showed
Yeah.
up first. There were people everywhere trying to figure out what the hell was going on to get back on the island. And these people, which I'm sure are totally nice. I mean, but they wanted to get back on the island. I mean, they were in your face and you stood there like, and you took it all. You didn't lose your temper at all. Do you lose your temper on these FDOT people? Like, you people are government people, you jackballs.
Well, I try not to lose my temper, but I do word some things pretty strongly when I have to.
You say darn.
No. I mean, there's a time and place to lose your cool and to try to know when that is and when it's not. In that situation that you're talking about, me losing my cool wouldn't have done any good to anybody. It would have just made things worse. So people wanted to be heard at that time. They just want to be heard. And when we have meetings with FDOT, when it's things like this, or it's things that we've had to deal with in the past, when it comes to FPL, for instance, we've had some very, very, very strong worded meetings, but it wasn't losing your cool. It's like, this is why we need to do it. And with FEMA, we've had some strong, when we were dealing with the trailer issues, with trying to get people in trailers, it's like, enough with the nonsense. Just tell us the truth. That's all we want to know. And yeah, you have to have those meetings. But again, I've never been a person that feels like if it gets to the point where you're yelling at each other, the whole purpose of the meeting is lost in my opinion.
That's when I have the preacher on, I'm not going to lose my cool. I'm going to keep it calm and cool and collected. And
you should.
Yeah.
I mean,
have you ever used the F word? Have you ever dropped the F bomb on somebody?
I mean, I have. Usually it's when I hit myself with a hammer or, anybody that's ever swung a hammer that's hit themselves knows what I'm talking about. But no, it doesn't. I've always been kind of a calm person. And
has Andy ever lost his cool?
I call it Mean Andy.
Really?
I call it Mad Andy.
I want to have Mad Andy on the show.
And when I say Mad Andy, everybody knows Andy. He's super calm. He's very, but when he gets mad, it's not like I'm gonna. It's very like, oh, he means business.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the kind of person that I'm like. If you get angry with something, the way you word it and the way you say it, you can tell you mean business. You don't have to yell at somebody. You don't have to scream at them. You don't have to threaten them. You just that people know by the tone of your voice.
Yeah, and it's good when you only do it once in a while, because when you do it that one time, then people are like, "Oh, I've never seen him like that."
Yeah, there was a time in my life where I was probably way more hot-headed than I am when I was trying to run my own business, and you're out there busting your butt every day, and you got people working for you that sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't, and
that's why
they want their paycheck as soon as it's
that's
payday.
why podcasting is a way to go. You don't have anybody working for you. You don't have to deal with staff. You just got a pain in the neck wife every once in a while that just wants stardom. And,
you really.
She's never been on Lester Holt though.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, have you actually been like just your voice, or have you actually been?
I was totally on the first story that night, man. I was video the whole thing, and my nose looked like I was Pinocchio. I mean, it was like a gigantic, like I had blisters coming out of my nose for some reason.
I'm glad to see your elbow is healed from all that patting yourself on the back.
I got to tell a funny story. So we had, and then we'll let everybody go. Stop boring them.
Yeah.
So we have Kim's birthday party last week, and I got rooms for her mom and her aunt down at the Hyatt in Coconut Point, which we love that place. They got 3 nice pools. And so I pull up after the show Sunday, I pull up and I back in, and I backed in too close to the curb. So as I went to the passenger side to open the door, I totally fell in the hedges. Now I'm laying in the hedges. The hedges are so hard. They impaled me in the side. I could have died on the hedges at Coconut Point. Nobody would have seen me. And my fingers are bleeding. I got blood coming out of, and now I'm just like embarrassed. Like, how the hell do I get out of the hedges? I'm stuck in the hedges, and my truck is too close to the hedges. Like nobody can see me, or they're laughing their ass off at me. And I'm trying to figure out how to get out of the hedges. And I hadn't even started drinking yet. I couldn't even blame it on that. It's like, I almost died.
Kim's throwing a blanket over the top of you. Nothing to see here. He's just
I almost died in the hedges, which would have been all the stuff that I've done to die, falling and getting impaled, like stabbed to death on the hedges would have been
You're not
an
getting
awful
any
way
younger
to go.
either. You got to be careful. That stuff's going to start to hurt.
I'm going to need a cane soon.
All right.
Anything else, Dan?
No, I think
covered it.
Your weekly update on the lighting is there.
No, let's forget the lighting,
sure?
please. No lighting today.
All right.
The mayor of Fort Myers Beach, everybody, Dan Allers. Yeah, Dan, you kicked ass today, man. Before you go, folks, I got to tell you about our sponsors and how much they mean to making this show a success. If I got impaled on a hedge and died, I wouldn't be able to tell you about Alex King. Alex took my wife and her family out on a nice boat ride yesterday, but they've rebranded their logo. You've probably seen their logo all over Fort Myers Beach as Alex helps everybody buy and sell property. The new signs will be everywhere. The new logo represents Alex's commitment to innovation, excellence, and a modern approach in the real estate industry. If you don't follow Alex King on social media, you should start doing it right now, because Alex knows what he's talking about. He knows you can drive down a street with Alex and he'll know exactly what each house means to the community. He's got a cheat sheet every once in a while. I was walking down Williams yesterday and they were doing an open house there. The lady said, "You want to do a tour?" I said, "Well, not today. We're walking around trying to find out why this transponder is still stuck in the grass here." So call Alex King or get on social media and follow Alex, because he knows his stuff. Eagle Eye Aluminum. Tom and his 17th wife are usually here for the show, but they're somewhere else, I think in one of the Carolinas today. They specialize in seamless gutters, aluminum and vinyl soffit, fascia repairs. Is that how you say it? Fascia? Did I say that right? Fascia repairs. And full replacement. He also does screen reworking and installs entries to the screen walls. Estimates are totally free and encouraged. Tom Coleman is his name, and there's no E after the L, just so you know, if you were wondering about that at home. He's sitting on the dock somewhere out on a beach in Carolina, but his phone is always right next to him at 239-340-1639. Or you can email him, because he doesn't have an AOL email address. He has a Gmail address, eagleeyealuminum@gmail.com. Tom Coleman, thank you very much, and we expect to see you here next week. And finally, our newest sponsor, the Island Pancake House, which, if Tico gets its shit together, they will be open, serving breakfast and lunch. They open at 7:30, and they're going to stay open until 2 o'clock. or until they have to kick out the drinkers because they have a full bar, like a 47 CO3P or whatever the hell that is, where you can serve all kinds of liquor. The Island Pancake House is locally owned and operated. Go back and watch our show yesterday. Brian and Stacy were on the show, and they are just chomping at the bit to open at the Sea Grape Plaza. The Sea Grape Plaza. Yep. Give Brian a call right now and tell him you have a picture that you want to share with him for his wall. He's dedicating a wall to the residents of Fort Myers Beach. 320-360-3826. 320-360-3826. Or you can email him at this goofy email address that he's got, b_j_martins@hotmail.com. Brian, fix your damn email so it's easier to pronounce on the show. We want people to send you pictures. Hi, you want to come on the show? Oh, come on over. We gotta come on down. All right. You guys have been sitting here. Have a seat here. You guys have been sitting here. You bike. I saw you on the bike this morning, and you were down by asking where the 7-Eleven was, and you will have a presentation you want to make to the mayor.
Well, I'd like to say something to you.
Oh, go ahead, so people can hear you. Is this going to be nice, or are you going to be like the lady at the Wyndham today?
Yes, as I stated before, I greatly appreciate. This is my second year, and I greatly appreciate.
Second year of what?
Coming here.
Okay.
My wife's been coming here. Her name's Michelle. My name's Bill.
Bill.
She's been coming here for 40 years, and she brought me here last year for the first time, and introduced me to you.
Yeah.
And
thank you for wearing our hat.
Yes. And anyway, this charm here is from that jewelry store down the street that didn't make it. And I would like to present this to you.
Oh, thank you very much. It looks like a dolphin, or no, it's a shark. Hammerhead shark.
Now,
thank you, man. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for everything.
You're very welcome. And I'm
I'm not saying it.
Thank you, guys.
I and also walking around, riding a bike around. I really like. I see the support each and every one has for each other, and it's just been amazing on the rebuild. And
thank you, man. Appreciate it.
I'm not much of a speaker.
That's all right. You did great. You did great. You did great. You did better than my wife today. Yeah.
Anyway,
thank you. All right. Appreciate it. Great way to end the show. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for coming. And we will see you next week. Monday, town council meeting. Thank you. Friday, the LPA meeting. And I will get confirmation on the people get on my page at the end and they try and sneak something in for Matt Thornton always. It's hilarious. So you got no chance on Tuesday, Matt. Zero chance. See you guys next week. Thank you all for coming. Bye-bye.